For the next 2-3 minutes, I'm probably just going to share with you some of the statistics that you know, but we too often forget. And at the end of the day, tie those statistics with the reason why we believe a renewed hope for Nigeria with a greater Lagos rising is the theme and the context in which we can indeed build a bigger nation for ourselves and a state that is functional for all. I'm sure we all know that even before the census that will come up later in the year, we usually toy that Lagos population is well over 20 million, 23, 22, 24, and this population has also been now confirmed by the by the number of PVCs and the registrations that we have seen INEC turn out. So indeed, we believe that the population of Lagos is closer to 25 million than 20. And it's a city-state that has almost all tribes of the country, over 300 tribes, that indeed they call Lagos homes. And in that whole contraption, Lagos represents less than 0.4% of the total landmass of our country. You know, Nigeria is 900 and something thousand kilometers. Lagos is under 4,000, 365,000. 3,560 or thereabout. You know, and so if you put that in context, and if you also remove the 1/3 water that you see just behind us here and all around Lagos, so indeed it's just like a tiny little dot. The real land area is less than 0.27, you know, of which where we have over 10% of the population of this country. The GDP of Lagos is clearly over 120 billion right now, so which makes it closer to 30% of the GDP of our country. And of course, the GDP is bigger than the GDP of Kenya, it's bigger than the GDP of Ghana, it's bigger than the GDP of Ivory Coast. And so you can see that indeed your city, your state, is in itself a big country that we're all just struggling, you know, to fit into. In terms of those GDP sizes, it will be 6th to 7th largest, you know, economy in Africa. People have toyed and said that, yes, our IGR is 50 billion, and I'm seeing some parties, you know, trying to lay, you know, some very, very wrong numbers and say, because they collect 51 billion. We have not even there yet. You know, the size of this city, we need to double those numbers, right? So we're even still doing 50 and 60. We haven't stretched it at all. But it's all in all of those collections as well. You know the challenges that comes, you know, with a bigger city like us. You know, even the amount of money it costs us to keep the city functional, resilient, the amount we spent to clear out, you know, containers that fall on the road, to respond to emergencies, to respond to fire incidents, to go into Ogun State and rescue citizens and all of it, you know, speaks to the reason why those IGRs have to go up. And some of you organized private sectors here, we need to be able to agree to team with us, you know, and see how we grow those numbers very, very quick, you know, so that we can indeed offer a lot more. And of course, you know that Lagos is home to headquarters of close to 70% of all large corporations in our country. It's the largest food basket in the entire sub-Saharan region, meaning that, you know, we consume almost everything that comes in. But we're trying to take ourselves from that. Even if we cannot feed ourselves completely, at least let us be able to intervene and be able to attract investment in also how we get to feed this huge population. Of course, you know that Lagos is home to entertainment and technology hub, not only in Nigeria, but the entire African continent, which this industry now is inching close to about 5% of our GDP. Very recently, you saw a Lagosian, right? He grew up in Lagos here. He went to school here. He became the first female Grammy Award winner, and several others that you have seen. You know, for us as a government, we continue to activate that sector. We continue to encourage that sector. We continue to definitely, you know, see how we can help grow that sector even under, you know, our team's agenda. And of course, looking at technology, right? Lagos continues to remain the tech startup in Africa. With in the last year and a half, we've seen investment of over $1 billion, you know, in tech startups alone. You know, we're building hyperscale data center We're building end-to-end, commercial scale-up data investment. We're doing 3,000 kilometers of which about 2,800 of it fiber, connectivity, ducts in the city, and all of the major telcos, have, a significant percentage, of their tele-density here in Lagos. Fitch also, rated us on all of our borrowing a AAA, which is for the second year running. So what that tells us is that indeed, we're doing all of these things, knowing fully well that people are watching and we're being held accountable, with even some of the finances, that we're projecting. But given the size, given the issues that we see, we know that Lagos can do a lot more, and we want to do a lot more. In terms of numbers, Lagos certainly will require about 8 billion to build only a climate resilient, infrastructure. We were at the COP27 in Egypt late last year, where we make a very strong case as to why, the entire world needs to listen to Lagos and need to support us to be able to develop, a very robust climate resilient infrastructure, because their inaction is going to cost us a lot more, and our attempt not to do it, has a larger consequence, within, our community. And we've done the numbers. We've given them all of the projects that can fit, into this resilient infrastructure, and we're taking it up to be able to work with them. Under our team's agenda, which has been our economic driving pillars in the last 3.5 years, which sort of also seek to push forward 25 years when we started with the 10-point agenda. We're just scaling it up and we're identifying in critical areas what are the immediate needs of our citizens. In transportation and traffic management, we've intervened in almost 1,000 road projects, in the last 3.5 years. 650 sectional road rehabilitation. We've done palliative about 150 of them, and we've built new roads of about 125 kilometers. In our ferry service, which is also one of the ways in which we want to quickly move people from one part of the city to another, we've almost completed, our 17 ferry stations. About 7 of them have actually been completed, and we have intervened in procuring, ferry in the city. We're actually also expecting another set of about 25 ferries that would help be able to move people from one part of the city or the other. Of course, you know that we have intervened in all of the 3 public transportation, bus, the last mile, the medium capacity, and also the taxis. In total, we've intervened for about over 3,000, capacity in those areas, be it the high capacity buses, the medium capacity, the last mile, or the lag ride. While we're doing all of this is for us to be able to give our citizens choices as into what mean of public transportation they want to go, on with. And of course, that we're indeed excited or able to complete the first phase of our Blue Line, which is from Marina to Mile 2. The Honorable Minister sitting here is only just my Egbon. He created the template for that Blue Line rail infrastructure, and we're indeed happy that we cut the tape, even when he had the vision, to have started it, and we're happy that in the next 1 or 2 months, it should be fully operationalized, because what we're doing now is to ensure that everything, all the testing, that needs to happen is actually, an electric, rail infrastructure. So we need to be sure that, we've done proper wall off on all of the alignment so that we don't have fatality. We don't have people crossing, the rail track at any point, so that we don't have, people not understanding that this is not a diesel-fired engine. These are, electric-fired engine. And within the next 1 or 2 months, there will be a lot of stakeholder movement to understand how you need to embark and disembark in a rail infrastructure. But for us as a government, thank you very much. Minister himself is clapping, please join him. But for us as a government, is the red line that we are almost completing that is even a lot more interesting for us. Red Line is bigger, is in a longer corridor. We conceived it too when I was in his cabinet, The Red Line was an easier sell for us, but the PDP government at that time did not even allow us to touch that rail corridor. And it was the old rail corridor for all of you that have lived in Lagos for 40 years, 45 years, 35 years, from Oyingbo all the way, going towards Agbado. So we've retracted some of them. We're building 7 stations concurrently. We're building 4 bridges, concurrently on that rail track. And so we're excited that it should be ready, before April, and you can see our iconic station coming out in Ikeja. There's a building on top of it. By the time you get to Ikeja, you see a massive, massive building on your right. It's not just a supermarket, it's a real, infrastructure. That will be the biggest terminal on the Red Line. And so all of these things are the things we promise. We promise an integrated urban mass transportation system where people can use either the rail infrastructure, the road infrastructure, or the waterways infrastructure, using a single, carry card solution where you can hop in and hop off, and be able, to transact and reduce journey time, because the whole idea is to reduce journey time, is to save money and to reduce, whatever traffic gridlock we have on our roads right now. Of course, Lagos was also the major negotiator and facilitator, at the completion of, of the Lekki Deep-Sea Port. When we came in, we signed, with the Chinese, a $670 million, dollar facility, which they promised us that in 2.5 years, they will deliver the port. We're happy that Mr. President himself came, to commission the port, and I think full operations will start, in the next 1 or 2 months or so, when all of the T's and I's, have been crossed. So what you begin to see is that you begin to see your city, being a lot more efficient, and understanding the role that it plays, in the economy of our country. And I think the final one to just mention under transportation is the all-famous Fourth Mainland Bridge. A lot of my predecessors too, had mentioned Fourth Mainland Bridge. We're excited that in our time, we will see the Fourth Mainland Bridge. And the reason being that we've taken a very, very detailed time to take through concessionaires, funders, and investors. And we've done that by first ensuring that we can do for them a viable, feasible, viability and feasibility study, which has been completed and which has led to the process at which, investors are now indeed convinced that that 37-kilometer on water, on land, road is visible. We're at the stage where we're just finishing, very detailed engineering, design, and being able to go into groundbreaking very, very, very soon. And we're hoping and believing that before we finish government, at least we should have completed a significant part of that 37-kilometer road. It's right from Ajah, right, all the way, will end up on Lagos-Ibadan Express Road, with the border of Ogun State. So that's like our own M25. And we believe it will completely, reduce journey time and ease out, the bottlenecks that we have on the island, and better parts, of the mainland.